kids have to know, the sacrifice that parents have to make so that they can live the life they live.
The person that wants to make it work makes it work. The people that want to know if it works, they flop.
If you need to make it work because you need to do it, you will find a way to get it done.
A lot of the things that I might not agree with, I'm with the understanding that it's changing.
I think if you don't understand marketing and if you don't understand branding, you're done.
Talk to me, Anika. Where were you born? Where were you raised? Kind of walk me through your upbringing a little bit.
I was born in Cuba. I came when I was 7. My parents actually decided to immigrate because obviously everybody knows the story about Cuba, which is, I like to make a good analogy because Cubans are successful everywhere except Cuba, which is one of the reasons why my parents left to begin with. But another reason was I had health issues with my eyes. So they brought me so I can get surgery in Bascom Palmer. Long story short, I came when I was 7. And I've been here ever since in Miami, raised in Miami. I went to FIU. I went to local schools, went to high school. I studied in FIU political science, and then I went to law school.
All right. What high school did you go to?
Braddock.
Oh, so you're Kendall.
Yeah.
All right. What year?
2006. People are going to calculate my age with this.
I was a freshman. One class of 06 graduated. I graduated 09. So,
so
we're in school at the same time.
Me estás diciendo vieja.
No, we're in the same age group. You're a millennial. We're good. All right. So you came when you were 7. Part of it is obviously your parents looking for better opportunity. The other part, you needed medical attention for a medical condition you were dealing with. How quickly did you learn to speak English?
6 months.
Yeah. I moved back from Panama when I was 12. I was born here, but then we moved to Panama when I was a kid. Same deal. And I was older. I was 12. And same thing. I learned English like the first 9 weeks. Yeah, they stuck my ass in easel for like the first 9 weeks. And after that, they moved me to
my parents did a good job, though, because they really made it a point that I integrated.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things was like, okay, watch TV in English only. And they didn't speak any English back then. Well, now they speak English. Obviously, they have an accent, but they're fully bilingual, both of them, which is a testament to,
commitment, because it's hard to learn.
To commitment, because it's correct. And they both came in their 30s, so, it's very challenging. But yes, they're fully bilingual, and they made it a point for me to integrate. So I would, watch television only in English. Say, no quiero, I want to watch it in Spanish. My mom was like, no, tienes que aprender inglés. Yeah. So,
Do you remember this, like, vividly?
Yeah.
That's
vividly.
Good. That means you liked it, because I have a little bit of I don't remember jack shit of, like, elementary school, because I hated moving. I moved in 2nd grade. And imagine it took me from being in school here to, like, I don't know if you saw our stories over the weekend, but to, like, Campo, like, in the middle of a freaking mountain.
It was awesome.
To a little school with 10 kids that none of them spoke freaking English. And whereas, they teach you how to write and print here. Yeah. In our countries, they teach cursive. And the way they taught was they would, they'll write the lesson plan on the board, and you have to copy it, go home and learn it. I couldn't copy it, so it was a freaking nightmare. These are the things I do remember. So
because it was in cursive?
So, like, 2nd, 3rd, like, I start remembering stuff, like, in 4th grade. I have, like, this, I think it's your doctor. Unlock some memories, but I don't even know if I want to.
I'm not a doctor, but I will tell you that you block out negative memories, 100%. And you only remember good stuff. So that's exactly what's happening to you.
But at what point, like, did you always, growing up, middle school, high school, know you wanted to be a lawyer? Or
no.
Kind of walk me
through that? Life kind of just took me there. I studied architecture for a while, which a lot of people don't know about me. I studied 2 years of design, and I love it. I still love it to this day, which is why I guess I'm into real estate. I like, remodeling, the fix and flip, the whole 9. But I like it as a hobby. I like to know about it. I like design. I'm a naturally creative person, but I didn't see myself doing that long term for a living, stuck in front of a computer designing. That's not for me. It's nice, but it's not for me. So I've always had I like to help people for the most part. Like, I like to contribute. So that's when I said, you know what? I'll finish my undergrad. I'll do political science, and I'll go to law school.
All right, sure. FIU, right? Both?
No, I went to St. Thomas Law.
Okay.
And I went to FIU for undergrad.
For your undergrad.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been good at studying, first of all? Because there's a lot of...
No.
All right, so you're going to have to walk me through this. First thing that drew my attention right now, how did you know at 20 years old, 21, that you didn't want to do something forever? Because when I was 21 years old, there's no way that, first of all, I didn't go to school, but even then, I could tell you I didn't want to go to school, but other than that, like, you couldn't put a career in front of me, and I wouldn't be able to decide that that's not what I want to do.
Because I always knew myself very well.
Yeah, okay.
So I didn't know if law was going to work out, because nobody does. Right. Nobody's studying something to do it permanently, like law, like medicine, which are careers that they're upper division, right? So you get your bachelor's, Most people have bachelors. A lot of people, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of people get bachelors and they can go into any field they want to go to thereafter, right? Except for like nursing and different ones like that. But for the most part, general education, you could do a lot of things. But to go to law school, you have to have, same medical school, you got to have that extra commitment. You don't know if it's going to work out, but I knew myself. And what did I know? I'm a social person. I don't work with machines or computers all day. I hate that. And architecture is a lot of that. So in my case, since I was studying to be an architect, it's a lot of design. It's you're designing stuff. You don't really speak to people too much other than when your client comes in and says, hey, this is what I want. This is the vision I have. Make it happen. And then you do a lot of... I'm a social person.
You're more passionate about the strategy of designing something more so than the actual process of...
Or the result. How about that?
Yeah,
the result. You know, and I'm a people person. I've always been. So my favorite thing to do, if I could, is talk to clients all day or be in meetings all day with referral sources and just talking to people. And that's my passion. So I figured I'd make a decent lawyer because a lot of them talk a lot.
Just go to law school, which is hard. Now, do you have anybody in your family lawyers or you?
No. My parents are professionals, though. My mom's an accountant in Cuba and my dad's an engineer.
Okay.
But I have no lawyers in the family.
You're the first one.
Yeah.
Got it. So you went to St. Thomas Law, right?
Yeah.
Was it hard to get in?
It was very challenging because you have to take the LSAT. And I've always been, I think most social people are like this, which is you do what you need to do to get by. And you don't necessarily are like, I don't have to be the best. I don't have to get the best grades, right? I have to go to law school and I have to graduate and I have to learn. My focus was passing the bar. Thereafter, if I could excel, great. And this is an advice that I would give to anybody that's in law school now. A lot of people tell my brother-in-law is now a lawyer. He just graduated. And an advice that I gave him is like, stop taking crappy electives that are not going to get you anywhere. You need to pass the bar. That's your focus. Your focus is you need to take every single class that you can get and you need to prepare yourself for the future. Who gives a crap if you know about health law? Health law is not on the bar.
Right.
Evidence, criminal procedure is in the bar.
So take those electives.
Doesn't matter if you're going to be a criminal lawyer or not. I'm a results-driven person. So, why are you going to take fluff? You got to do what you got to do. Point A to point B, you move on.
And that's a really good point. I think most people, and it goes to show why you're successful today, which we'll get to that. But you graduated law school what year?
2015.
And what you do then? Did you go into a firm to work?
Yes. So when I graduated law school, I passed the bar right away in my first try.
Because you took the right electives?
Because I prepared myself. Yeah. And I had good mentors, which that's another point that I want to bring into anybody that's young in any profession that is starting out, even in business, not in school. Get a good mentor. Get somebody that's walked your path before
100%.
And to tell you. So I had a good mentor that told me, don't take bullshit electives. You need to pass the bar, which is the same advice I'm now paying forward to everybody that I can that is in law school. And when you sit down and you take your test, don't second guess yourself. And it's like you're at the range. You pull the trigger. Boom, boom, boom. If you overthink the question, you're going to get it wrong. So every time that I can, I pay that forward. And I passed the bar on the first try because 3 months, I'm a results-driven person. I don't necessarily like to study. Right. But I knew that in order to get to where I needed to be, I had to study. So I just me comí los libros for 3 months. I took the right classes. I set myself up and I passed it. That's it. There's no secret. Hard work pays off.
How many times can you take the bar?
As many as you can.
There's no limit on that?
There's no limit. However, there's studies, and I don't know the exact numbers, but there's studies that say that your chances of passing exponentially decrease every time you have to sit for it again. I think there's a mental component to that because you already go with a feeling of defeat or much more pressure because now you're in your 20s, late 20s, maybe even early 30s because a lot of people go to law school later in life and you're like, damn, I really need to pass because my family depends on it because I need to make money.
The rest of your life is flashing in front of your eyes.
Because I spent $300,000 in my education and I can't practice law. Yeah. So what the heck? And I think it's just that mental component of, it's tough.
It is. And I agree 100%. Like in our business, mindset is everything. And some people come to work for me or with me, I should say. And some people want to see if it works. Some of the people need to make it work. And you'll give them the same resources, they'll do the same exact things, work the same leads, do the same calls, everything, but the person that wants to make it work makes it work. The people that want to know if it works, kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, they flop every time.
Pressure builds diamonds.
100%.
So you need to have hunger.
Has all the one-liners. I should have invited you a long time ago.
Huh?
So you have all the one-liners.
I'm Cuban.
Yeah.
We live off of dichos. Cubans, we have
got them in English, though.
Well, yes. I'm trying to be mindful during the podcast because I speak in Spanglish.
It's all good.
That's just like my general go-to is Spanglish.
Be yourself.
So in Spanish or in Cuban, it would be like, la necesidad hace parir hijos macho. Right? So I'm like, pressure builds diamonds. If you need the money and you need to make it work because you need to do it, you will find a way to get it done.
La necesidad hace parir hijos macho. So they work and provide for you?
Huh?
I'm trying to get the...
No, it just means that if you have to do it, you'll figure out a way to do it.
All right. So where did you work? My bad. What you work when you graduated? What was the first year in law like?
So when I graduated and I became an attorney, I got a job very quickly because that's the next thing that I gotta... No, he offered me a job, but I didn't want to go into lobbying. So he's a governmental affairs attorney. And that's a field that once you go into that, you're kind of like pigeonholed because you don't practice law. Gotcha. You know, you lobby. You're in government. You're in politics. So he was amazing. But I went into litigation. So, and that's another advice that I could give young professionals. Don't wait for the perfect opportunity, especially at the beginning. It may never come. If it comes, que bueno, you know, wonderful. But if it doesn't, you need to get experience.
Get your feet wet.
And you need to get your feet wet and you need to move on. And you need to work, maybe not at the place that pays you the most at first. Because when you're in law school, you're not making any money. A lot of people don't even work. And if you do work, you're a law clerk and you're making crap. Yeah. You're already used to not making money. You need experience. That is what's going to turn into money. Or at least it's going to let you know yourself better and know what kind of field or what kind of path you want to take, right? So I always tell people, you know, get experience. That's invaluable. So it's not necessarily making 200 because I knew people, when I went to court my first time, one of the attorneys had been practicing for like 2-3 years. And she was working for big law, right? One of those big law firms, making a bunch of money. She's like, this is my first hearing. And I had graduated like weeks ago. She goes, yeah, all they have me doing is research and writing. Yeah. But I'm not in court. And to me, that's invaluable because now I've been practicing for 10 years pretty much, right? I graduated in 15.
Yes, so 10 years.
We're in 25, pretty much 10 years. I litigated for a long time. I no longer litigate, right? Because I don't want to. Yeah. But the experience I gained from that makes me an even better attorney, transactional lawyer because now I do paperwork, right? So I work with real estate clients and business owners, whatever, but understanding litigation, understanding the courtroom, understanding the problem that's going to come is going to help me prevent the problem for the client. Yeah. So you need experience at first, number one, not necessarily make so much money. So I started working there and I got a lot of experience in litigation, a lot of experience.
What type of litigation?
It was mostly personal injury and insurance claims. My boss, one of the partners of the law firm, was the head trial attorney for State Farm for a long time.
Got it.
So I learned a lot about litigation, trial work, whatever. Thereafter, I took some time off because I was a mom. I became a mom for the first time in 2018, and I took some time off. Not a lot, a few months. And then my first job was in Broward. So I'm like, okay, now I need to be local because I don't have so much time to commute or whatever. It's a lot easier, which is another tip I can give people. Do whatever you're going to do before you have kids. It's not impossible once you have kids, but it's definitely more difficult.
I second that.
And even if you do it, you're going to feel guilty because now your heart or your mind is split in two. Man, I'm stuck at work, but then I have a 6-month-old or I have and you want to spend time with them. Because nobody becomes a parent to be an absent
100%.
parent.
100%. You want
at least not intentionally anyway, right? So I got a job in Miami. Yeah. That was, a lot closer to my house because I'm local.
Where was the job at first?
In Broward.
In Broward, yeah, you did say. Okay.
So then I practiced same line of work. And then when the pandemic hit, curiously enough, we went into our own. So I started my own law firm with a friend of mine that we had worked together when I was in law school.
Pause. Before you tell me the story of the law firm.
Okay.
We're going to go back.
Dale.
Talk to me about the challenges, the question I asked you earlier. How do you manage to be present as a mom, given that you run a full-time business? And we'll get into the business now and the partnership and the dynamic and the whole nine. But I think that's probably one of the most important things that I see parents struggle with. Me this morning, the reason why I got here 5 minutes late, right when I was leaving, my son was like, Papi, no te vayas. Let me show you my toy. It took me 15 minutes of me feeling terrible, being like, hey, Papi, I gotta go to the gym, shower, and get over here. And that's my biggest struggle. Vienes de día o de noche? No, Papi, I'm coming at nighttime today, sorry. it breaks my heart. Now I was just with him for a week and I'll be with him for another week now. So I manage that way. I learned to segregate my time. And he explained to him why, but I know it's a challenge for a lot of entrepreneur parents, especially in our age group. What advice can you give, or what 2 cents can you put in on that topic?
I have a lot on this topic.
Yeah, you see it. I see your face now. Like,
I'm just kind of thinking about it. I'm taking it all in because I have a lot on this topic. Number one is kids have to know that the sacrifice that parents have to make so that they can live the life they live. Right. And part of that is time, right? Money, you can make. Time is finite. There's only 24 hours in a day. You do with that what you will, what you need to do, what you got to do. I think part of being a good parent, coming from a Cuban household of immigrants, I understand this, right? My parents worked 2 jobs. I used to go clean offices with them when I finished middle school. I used to get in the car. My parents would finish their 9 to 5, and I would go clean offices with them. And that is why, a lot of the reason why I've gotten to where I have gotten in life. And I'm not maybe compared to some other people as successful or whatever, but I turned out all right.
Yeah,
you know,
you compete with yourself.
So,
really good.
You know, so I think that's an advice that I would give to you, for example. It's like, it's okay. Give yourself some grace. Your kid needs to know that in order to go to Panama for a few days and have a kick-ass vacation.
To the Polynesian for his birthday now.
Correct.
Yeah.
Papi needs to work. Yeah. Now you need to, what I like about being an entrepreneur is, yes, there's a lot of nights where you work late and whatever, but you're the owner of your time and your destiny. So you work around it. You go on vacations, you carve out your schedule. Right. You could say, all right, there's a big event at school, for example. I can go. I don't got to ask my boss if I can have some time off. So you can be present in other ways. Maybe you're not home early, but that day there was field day at school and you were able to take 3 hours of your work day to go and be 100%. Present. So it's about balance, giving yourself grace, and just understanding that kids need to know where the money comes from.
100% communication. I mean, my story is very similar to yours.
Teaching.
I was around my parents' businesses in Panama. I knew when they lost the business, maybe too much to a certain extent, but just the way that we were raised, we were involved when it was good and when it was bad. And yeah, my mom cleaned houses, worked in gas stations, restaurants, or whatever it took for us to get ahead. And I agree. I think with our son, he comes here every day. He's not in school yet. He's turning 4 now, and Stephanie does not want to put him in school. She's holding off to the last second.
School's great. Yeah. I'll tell Stephanie, my advice is school is good because it gives a lot of the social skills and, whatever exposure, especially if he's an only child so far. He doesn't have a sibling yet.
Do you have siblings?
I don't have siblings. I'm an only child. Yeah. Which is the reason why I have 2 children.
No more than 2. So I have a sibling, which is the reason why I probably only want 1, but okay.
Well, no, yeah.
And I love my sister, but...
but your mom gave you a sibling. So here's, for me anyway, this is my take on this is, sometimes I get, sappy and I look back at life and I'm like, when my parents are no longer around, I have no one to share memories with. My husband is an amazing husband, an amazing dad, and he's treated my parents like his parents. So we don't have those type of issues, and we've been together since we're 20 years old.
Gotcha.
We're now 36, so it's been a long time, right? So, but still, childhood memories, nobody. Claro. So I said I don't want my kids to go through that. If if my son is an only child, then when we're no longer around, he has nobody to remember his childhood with, which is one of the reasons why I said, all right, so I'm going to give him a sibling, but it's now or never because he was 4. And I'm like, dale, because if I wait till he's 6, I'm definitely done and he's going to be an only child. I'm sorry. Yeah. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
And then I have people like you that have siblings and they're like, well, whatever. Yeah. But you know what? As a mom, my conscience is clear. If later on in life you guys don't get along, it's not because 100%. Of me.
No, I agree. I mean, I grew up with one sibling, and I have more cousins. I can give you some cousins if you need some, because I have more cousins my age than I can handle. But it took some convincing for me to be sold on the idea of 1 kid, because my mind is like, bro, 3 minimum, Yeah. And then Stephanie's the only child, and backwards.
So what
she
happened?
loves the attention of being an only child.
She only wants 1.
Yeah, she doesn't want another one, and I do respect. I think even the answer to my question, it's completely different from an answer that I would give, just from the standpoint that moms have it a lot harder than dads, and that's just a reality. As involved as I try to be with the little things, you know, like imagine for us to leave the house, all I got to do is get dressed. And if I dress my son, it's like a huge help to my wife. And normally she has to do that on her own. And
I think it's inherent to our role as mothers.
Yeah, it's just natural. Just your motherly instinct is more like giving. I
wouldn't even say instinct. I'd just say that since the beginning of time,
you're more nurturing.
The male species, even in the animal world, right?
Yeah.
The male is the provider, right? They go out, they get the food, they whatever. The mom is the nurturer. That's human species basics. Now, we have a huge feminine movement, and I like to think that men have taken a more active role.
For sure.
Which, don't get me wrong, I think you guys should.
I agree.
You know,
100%.
We're equal partners in this, okay? No, the point that I'm trying to make the point that I'm trying to make is that, yes, and it is harder for women, I agree with you. No matter how much people want to say otherwise, I don't think that we've advanced as a society enough to say that we are. It's not. It's just not.
And then on the flip side, like, I wanted a daughter instead of a boy.
Because so did my husband.
You want to know?
He got one.
I have a theory behind why a lot of guys want girls, and I think is if you're a man and you try to handle your business as a man, it's a lot of responsibility to try to turn your son into a man. You know, because of the pressure that at least I feel comes with being a male on certain things. Granted, and that was honestly like I didn't know that at the time, but once I sat down and I analyzed it, I'm like, dude, I was just scared of like, you don't want your son to be I won't say the word, I'll say it anyway, a bitch, you know?
Yeah.
And not take care of what he needs to take care of. That's a big responsibility. A girl, in my eyes, would be like you could just spoil her and do your best to educate her, but she's still a girl. A lot of it is because of
your background.
100%.
Because you're Hispanic.
100%.
You're we come from a Latin culture. Machista.
Being not even just machista, being more than providers, protectors.
I think that
because I'm a protector.
Yes. And I'm not saying que tú eres machista. No, I'm just saying that in our culture,
the man protects and provides, you know?
Men are, you see a household with a son and a daughter, and a son is treated differently than a daughter.
I have a sister, without a freaking doubt, yeah.
Is that right or wrong? Who are we to say it's right or wrong, right?
That's the way it
Kids
was,
are not born with a handbook. I wish they were, but they're not.
Parents aren't given one either, so.
Yeah, and it's hard because I think that, yes, you need to teach a man how to be a man and a woman how to be a lady. But to a certain extent, you need to teach men some of the feminine stuff too. And you need to teach women to be tough.
100%.
Especially in our society.
I agree. I couldn't say, you said it perfectly. And obviously we're evolutionizing a lot of the things that I might not agree with. I'm with the understanding that it's changing. And 100%. Either adapt or I'm just going to do cause harm to my son and whatever the next generation coming behind that. So
it's hard to raise.
We're a really weird, what's it called? Millennial? Generation. Sorry, coffee hasn't hit me yet. We're like a strange generation because we call the tail end of like still playing outside and no technology, but then the transition into the tech side of things, and same things with all these transitions and like everything you're seeing nowadays, whether it's, I don't want to get too much into that stuff, but all the crazy shit that's happening, that part of me is like, this is insane. Why would somebody do that? But the other part of me is like, well, it's kind of the way it's going to work moving forward. So I either adapt or I could just hate everybody, and that's not going to do me any good.
We have to adapt, or you're going to stay behind.
And it's a really weird generation to be a part of.
Especially
I'm very
if you're in
analytical
business.
about these weird things. I think too much. I stop taking Adderall, but I'm a thinker by nature. So every I go down these rabbit holes of researching and like looking stuff up, and I feel that way strongly about our generation. But I also feel that it gives me a very unique advantage when it comes to business. Because I understand the older generation that that's retiring now, and I understand the younger kids because I would love to make money.
Because we're kind of in the middle, we were born at the turn of the millennium, which is why we're millennials. Right. We're the generation that's born with technology, right? So the internet and all that stuff that happened during our generation when we were coming up. So we're in the middle. Now these kids, the newer generation or the younger generation, I should say, they're a lot more technologically advanced. They do business differently. They think differently. The way they view things are completely different. We can see it and we can understand them, and perhaps we can relate to them in some ways, right? But we also understand the more conservative or the older generation, the boomers.
I take all the meetings for the viejos. I'm the closer for the older guys.
For the older guys?
Yeah, the old, hard-nosed Cuban or Hispanics that think that everything's bullshit, and I take those meetings.
Yeah, 100%.
I can relate. I grew up in that world, but I can also relate to a 22-year-old who thinks that he's going to get rich on TikTok. Who am I to tell him that he's not?
Well, I think they could.
I think they could too. I encourage all of them. It's hard, but everything's hard. Nothing's easy, so go for it.
Anything that's worth having is hard.
It's the same concept. When you really look at it from that standpoint, it's as hard as getting a law degree and successfully building a law firm.
100%. And then there's the other theory of lo que rápido se viene, rápido se va. So if you get it quickly, boom, boom. It's, so if you want to make money on social media, I think the sky's the limit. I see people making so much money on social media, but it takes a lot of work. People saying, oh, creating content is easy. Nope.
I have a call center in Colombia. We do credit repair from there. And my partner, he's in his late 40s, a family friend, and he sees, he didn't understand the power of social media. I'm not even talking about branding, organic stuff. I'm talking about paid ads and advertising. Yeah. And when he came to me with this credit repair stuff, I was like, all right, give me a second. I called Alex and one of the guys that works here, and I'm like, can we run a campaign for that? They said yes. And at a click of a button, and I think I spent $3,000, BS money. We started generating leads, and we've been very successful in that business. And the way that we were having this meeting last night, he's like, bro, you have a machine of getting clients, because he comes from the La Vieja Escuela, where he was paying $9,000 a month to be on the Yellow Pages.
Or referrals.
Where he was giving out business cards and shaking everybody's hand and being friends in la iglesia with el mundo. And that's the way he grew it. And I'm like, no, bro, F that. We're going to click a button. We're going to start across the country, and people are going to respond, because people do respond all the time. And it works that simple. And that's, again, I think that's where knowing what we know helps, at least me, because I can relate to David, who thought I was crazy because I wanted to have a marketing agency.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's crazy.
He's like, oh my God, bro, this is amazing.
I think it's the future. 100%. I think if you don't understand marketing and if you don't understand branding, you're done.
100%.
I mean, this is me. I'm nobody, right? I'm not an expert in this field. However, I will tell you that the way I see it for my business is 100% like that.
You're doing it. And I agree with you 100%. I mean, I think people want to do business with people, not with companies. Mm-hmm. I think the days, and I mean, it's not over, but the days of doing what Coca-Cola and all these big brands did of being such a strong brand. Not that it's impossible, because there will be huge brands that are getting built today and they'll be around 200 years from now. But personal branding, the power of social media has made it so much easier for people to grow so much faster than before. Because right now, if I want a lawyer, I want to work with you. I still don't know the name of your law firm, but I will call you for what I just told you about before we came online, because I see you on my Instagram all the time and I know you and you're cool. So yeah, I'm gonna go to you.
People want to do business with people they like. And
I'm sure there might be a law firm that's been around for 30 years that
right, but you got some stuffy lawyer,
besides that, but it's...
But some people don't want that.
That would be the argument, though, of why they're a better law firm to work 100%. With. But I wouldn't even go to them, because their commercials online and all this stuff is very generic to the brand of the company, and then who am I working with?
100%.
And people want to work with people. And that was the idea behind all of the stuff you see here is... I don't care about the name of any of my companies. Not that I don't care. I care about the reputation of them, but I understood that if I got in front of a camera and people wanted to work with me, it'll open up a lot more doors than me saying I have a big insurance agency or a big anything else.
And you're in an industry which is kind of like mine in a way, where the big players, the people that have been around for a long time, they're outdated. They're dinosaurs.
And they're about to retire.
They're the big law firms that are your usual typical attorneys that are very stuffy and very proper. Listen, they're great lawyers. I'm not saying otherwise. What I'm saying is the way of the world has changed, and you have failed to adapt. Mm-hmm. And if you fail to adapt, there's going to come a point in time where you're going to be able to do it because you have deep pockets. You can just start adapting then, right? But now you have to deal with another player that adapted, that's younger, that has a bigger vision, and is now your equal. But they already have a personal brand.
And they've been at it for 5-10 years.
And people like them.
And you've been at it for 30, and you've been at it for 10.
Right. But people like them.
100%.
And people want to do business with them. Him, her, doesn't matter. Because, not necessarily a shortcut. I just think it's...
Well, it's a shortcut. Compared to the older you're doing things, absolutely a shortcut.
Well, there was no technology back then would be my argument.
Yeah, people were knocking doors,
it's a tool. They've used the tool that they have to their... Correct. Yeah, they've used the tool that they have to their advantage.
They adapted, or maybe not even adapted, is all we know, and they failed to adapt to keep up with the times. And
correct.
Now you're fighting Yellow Pages and billboards against you making a video and posting it, and 50,000 people seeing it potentially, or 1 million people seeing it, whatever the case may be. So
listen, when I started posting on social media, I did it with the purpose of talking about stuff that I liked, that I was passionate about, and spreading information. I didn't even do it necessarily I hope to get leads from this. Leads come, great. I'm in business. I'm not in business to make no money, but that wasn't the purpose. And then I said, well, and if I can create an additional source of revenue from social media, thinking monetizing, the monetization that will come. I'm not there. I don't monetize from social media yet. I hope to one day because it's extra money.
100%.
You know, so why not?
You can do it with that intention, which is kind of what you're telling me.
I didn't do it with that intention.
See, when I started the podcast, I had people telling me, and when you get to this many, you're going to get paid. I'm like, bro, the last thing on my mind right now is getting paid.
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking at the idea of this podcast is giving value and relationship building.
Correct.
Nothing else. I want to talk to you.
And you like it.
Yeah, I enjoy it because I get to pick your brain and learn
it's not a punishment.
100%, and that's enough payment for me.
Correct.
That's enough. Currency doesn't have to be like money. It could be, knowledge. It could be just building a relationship with somebody.
That's why I started doing it, and because I enjoy it. Some people don't like it. Like I know some of my peers that are like, there is no way that you can pay me enough money to record myself on my phone and post it on TikTok or Instagram. I respect it.
It's good for you. That's the way I see it.
We all have different functions, right?
100%, yeah.
You need people to do other things. If everybody cannot make content.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Period.
Somebody has to do other things that you don't
everybody's
like,
not good at it. Yeah. Not everybody's going to be an accountant. Not everybody's good with math. Not everybody's going to be good with words. Some people are good with paper.
100%. No. And you got to obviously hire to strengths and weaknesses. All right. Cool. So back to what we were talking about before we went down this rabbit hole. I don't know how we ended here. Yeah, no, he's laughing.
This is the good thing about podcasts.
Yeah. This year also our first woman, so I like the path.
Damn, you took away. I was gonna surprise you with that at the end.
We'll cut it out. Don't worry.
Yeah. I'm getting I was getting hammered. So I have a couple people that I want to bring on that I've invited. They're ladies, but it just hasn't worked out. And I had already invited you when this happened. We have scheduling because it's the holiday, so they're lined up. I have them February and March. Yeah. So I just haven't. So 9-10 episodes in, it's all been guys. And bro, after I invited you, bro, like 6 girls wrote to me. You need to put some women on them. Like, yo, I swear to God, I'm working on it. Hold on. Yeah, I know. I'm like, coño. So it's good because you're giving a lot of value. And honestly, you see, if I don't stop, and we'll talk about this for 2 hours. Back to we were at a point where you gave me the advice on your take on being able to separate your time and being a parent as an entrepreneur. Talked a lot about branding. We were at a point where in the pandemic, that's when you decided to start your firm, right?
Correct.
All right. I want you to kind of walk me through that. What was the thought behind it? I know you have a partner. Is that the nice lady I met at the workshop?
Kathy.
Okay, Kathy. Okay.
Yes.
So you had a partner. I want you to walk me through de donde nació, where did the idea come from to go independent and do it on your own, one. And two, the dynamic of having a partner, because it can be complicated. And
it can definitely be complicated. We have been talking about it for a minute. So we had already kind of like played with the idea of going into our own in the future or whatever. It just happened to work out during the pandemic because I started getting a lot of cases. And where I used to work, they didn't necessarily handle those cases. Only I handled those cases. So I got the cases and they would come in and I said, and I also wanted flexibility with my time. I've been very fortunate in both places that I have worked, and I've always been at my jobs for a long time. So both places that I've worked in the legal field as an attorney, I have had great bosses, great mentors, people that, no exceptions to this, have been very understanding when I have needed to take time off because my kids were sick, and they have been nothing but supportive. And if I had a vision or I wanted to grow or I wanted to practice something else or I wanted to bring in a different type of case, everybody has been super supportive. So I think I have been blessed in that way. I've also would have never worked for anybody that wasn't like that, right? So I looked for places to work. But anyway, I digress. So I started getting cases in 2020, and Kathy and I had already talked about this before, and I said, hey, I have a kid. I need more time to myself, or I need not more time, because I have less time now. I have more flexibility with my time. And I have the in now. I'm getting a bunch of cases. Let's do it. Now is the time. I'm going to do it. Do you want to do it with me? And she said, yes, now is the time.
What does it take to, like, do you need any special type of licensing, or is it just you work on your own?
Yeah, you need to be barred. That's about it.
Okay. So as a practice, if you pass the bar and you could practice law, you could start a law firm.
Well, yes.
Legally, at least, obviously.
Well, in order to practice in the state courts, you need to be admitted to the bar, which that will give you your admission to all courts in Florida.
Gotcha.
If you then have cases in federal court, you need admission to each one of those courts. So we have the southern, middle, northern, and then you would need to be individually admitted to those courts. I really strayed away from federal law, so I hate litigating in federal court. It's
why?
It's very formal, and I'm more of a relaxed type of person. Not the way I handle my cases, but it's a pain in the butt. Let's just put it out there. There's people that specialize in this. So, and that's their bread and butter, and they're amazing. So I think everybody should like stick to their guns, stick to what they're good at. But anyway, so then that's really what you need. And then thereafter, office space, whatever licensing you need to get from the local municipality or whatever. Normal. Your business, your occupation certificate and your business tax and, whatever. And that's pretty much it. So anyway, I told her, I'm going to do it. Do you want to join me? And she said, yes, of course. Now is the time. Let's just do it. The time is never going to be perfect, which is another thing I remind people. I'm like, if you wait for the perfect time and for the perfect opportunity, you're never going to do anything, because perfection is the enemy of completion, 100%. Period. So you need to just be flexible and say, voy a hacerlo. Yeah, done. I've made up my mind. I know I want to do it. Let's do it. And then having a partner can be difficult, but I think we avoided a lot of the difficulties because we're both lawyers, so it helps to understand the complexities or the legal issues that you can have due to a failed partnership, right? So we sat down pretty much how you and I are sitting right now with a paper, and we said, all right, let's go through a partnership agreement. What's a must for you? What's a must for me?
Interesting conversation, I would imagine.
It was...
As two lawyers negotiating.
It was really easy.
Because, I guess it's so you guys know what you want. You just say it out.
And then I'm very business is business type of mentality.
Okay.
There's no... You're not going to insult me if you tell me that you need X. The most I could tell you is no. That's a deal breaker for me. And that's pretty much it. Nothing else is going to... Doesn't mean I don't like you personally. I just think that in business, we're partners. Outside of business, we're friends. And we have an awesome relationship. We're friends. We're the best of... we spend all the time together. Right. We're in the office together. When we leave, my husband's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, Kathy. Otra vez. And I'm like, you guys don't get tired of each other? I'm like, we talk about the business all the time and about the cases. So I don't have that problem. But I don't have that problem because we planned for it. And we said, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to be. If you ever want to leave, just tell me you want out. And then we'll split the cases like this. And we have already designated that from the beginning. So I think that this is similar or analogous to when people get married, right? A marriage is like a partnership. 100%. A partnership is like a marriage, but in business. Same thing. You just need to have open conversations from the beginning. So when you're dating, you meet someone and you say, do you want to have children? For example, right? And if that guy tells me no, and being a mom is a must for me, I'm not going to continue with this person. Breaker. Why am I going to go on date number 2? Why am I going to set myself up to perhaps like someone who I have no future with, right? Same thing in business. So I think the hard conversations up front, and then it'll be cake from there.
How was your relationship with her prior to the partnership?
We're friends. We used to work together. So when I was still in law school, she had just graduated. I think she's been practicing more than me for like 2 years. So when I was in law school, I was a law clerk there, and that's how we met.
Gotcha.
And we both wanted to kind of do the same thing. We know we don't want to litigate forever. Because being in litigation and being a mom is not impossible, but it's very difficult.
Going back to the...
Why? Because I want to be a present mom.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with having the help of a nanny, right? Nothing wrong. I've had nannies in the past. I want to do drop off.
Yeah.
And if I want to do drop off, I can't go to court at 8 in the morning.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's a trade-off for me. And it took a while for me to see it. But now that I see it, I'm super happy. I'm probably the happiest I've been professionally.
Awesome.
Because I'm doing things that I like. I'm working with my community. Most of my clients are in the Latino community, and they're, starting businesses in the U.S. They're investors or whatever. So I love what I do because I'm one of them. I'm helping them be better, and I can be a present mom, which to me is non-negotiable.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, because I think a lot of people would do the trade-off the wrong way, just chasing money or chasing, the carrot that gets dangled in front of you.
Yes. And I've also, listen, only so much is in our control, right? I've been fortunate, and I told you this before the podcast, I have a huge support system.
Yeah.
So my parents help me. My in-laws help me with the children. And my husband is supportive AF. There's no other way to say that. I can say, hey, I have this vision. I have this idea for a business. He's like, let's do it. What do we need to do? Let's research. Let's come up with a plan. Vamos. And he's also in business. He's an entrepreneur as well.
He speaks your
same language. He gets it. Yeah. We're partners in life. He's my husband, obviously. Right. We have businesses together because a lot of our real estate businesses are together. And it works. He's not... nothing wrong with this, but I don't see myself with somebody that's like a 9-to-5er, because that's not how I am. So it will be like polar opposites. I need somebody who's going to like
common ground, of course,
motivate me, or, you know, whatever. We do business very differently, but we see it.
But even then, opposites do attract, and then business is important. So 2020, she says, all right, screw it, let's do it. You guys lay out your partnership agreements. You put everything out front. This is what I want. This is what I want. You guys come to an agreement. It's a pandemic. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing for your industry, or probably irrelevant.
Irrelevant, because back then we were still doing a lot of litigation work.
Yeah. So it's irrelevant.
It really didn't.
So what was the biggest change maybe from working at a law firm where I'm assuming you had, well, financially you had a salary, I would imagine, at the other law firm plus whatever case you brought. Now you're on your own. What was that transition like financially from adapting to like now what you hunt is what you eat? And what were some of the challenges, I guess, that you faced early on that maybe you hadn't accounted for?
The biggest challenge in business, in my opinion, is employees. Getting good ones, finding good ones, keeping good ones, training them. I think that's the biggest challenge by far as a business owner. Anything else, I think you can learn. You can learn finances. You can, learn a little bit of accounting. You can understand. You can prepare yourself. But for that, the people portion is very difficult, in my humble opinion. So that was, for us, the hardest challenge in business. Obviously, not having the stability of a salary is challenging, because when you have a salary, you know that every 2 weeks you're getting X. You're getting X, and it's very steady. But in a way, that's motivating.
It is.
Because now you're like, okay, espérate, I need to figure it out. Yeah. I need to make more money. And that's always been my mentality. I don't want to save money. I want to make more money. That's just me.
That's exactly how.
I don't think anybody gets rich.
I preach that so much, abundance.
I don't think anybody gets rich by cutting their Starbucks coffee. 100%. I'm sorry. Now, if you are living paycheck to paycheck, and on top of that, you're spending $6 in a latte.
Being responsible.
You need to cut the latte.
Being responsible and having, it's two different things.
But I think the goal is to get to yourself in a place where you can have your dang latte.
I work harder so I can afford my coffee.
Correct. Yeah. So a lot of that is preparation. But yes, it's like not having that stability, but that's a motivator.
Same with the flights, My costumbre is being in front of the plane, and I'll bust my ass before you catch me in the back of the plane.
I'm cheap. I'm cheap.
I'm not cheap. See, but because it's what you care about. Some people might think that's super, but I'm cheap for a lot of other things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of priorities.
Oh, yeah, what you care about, what you like, 100%.
No.
Pop into abundance.
No. I rather, I don't know, take some of that money and invest in somewhere else 100%. Or it's just.
Or you can make more and do both. Back to the original point.
100%.
Because it all goes through.
100%.
Listen, before I bought my car, I fought my wife on me not changing my car because I didn't want to have a car payment. Mm-hmm. And I only bought it because in the truck I had, it was the small cab in the back, and my son's car seat didn't really fit in there.
Right.
Otherwise, I would have never. I probably still have my 2012 Dodge Ram today, Mm-hmm. And then once I got a car, it's kind of like the law of attraction. You start making more money, the more bills you take on, and it just kept snowballing. Well, naturally, you just work.
That's
harder.
how my husband thinks, by the way. So he's very much like that. He's very much like, no, yo lo quiero, and I work and I bust my ass, so I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah.
And I said, no, that's bad.
Yeah, so that
it's a balance.
It has to be a balance.
It has to be a balance.
And my problem with me is that, so for personal stuff, I'm not big on but on the business, I have a really bad habit of, not even habit, that's why I have Giselle to bitch at me. I want to try everything. If this thing.
That's what happens to me.
I lost a lot of money.
I'm a visionary, which is what happens to you.
So once I started making more money, I was like, great, I'm going to try everything that I ever wanted to do. And I found out quickly that everything that I thought doesn't work. Yeah, let me get good at one thing before I try to get good at another one. Because
I struggle with that too. So I
can't help it.
Yeah,
I couldn't
me too. I'm an ideal person. So I'm like,
but
this is a great business.
I've developed a good sense of identifying when I need to slow down or when I need to put this off.
Yeah.
So I'm ready. So that's helped me, and Giselle helped with that tremendously too, because she doesn't sugarcoat it to me. I have a call with her. I dread your
meetings.
Bro, it's until I get there. When I get there, and I'm happy. But on the way there, because I know I'm just. My meetings are
hammer you.
Yeah, and Stephanie just bitching about me too, of the things that she told me not to do and I'm doing. And imagine I was hiding from her that I had this warehouse. She was my mother.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And
because she's probably going to be like, you need to focus on one thing.
No, not even. She thought it was a good idea after. But because we're dealing with like the financials, and she's like, don't make any decisions until we are clear on financials. And I'm like, I'll let you know. Mistake. I don't trust me. I agree.
This is what people in business. Okay, so I'm getting my MBA now because I'm a whatever because I want to. No, I don't like to study, but I wanted to do it for myself.
Fair enough.
So I'm doing it. But anyway, and people in business will tell you, like, your typical business people, right? You need to know the numbers. You can't make any decisions without it. You need to be clear. You need your balance sheet. You need your P&L. You need your profit. You need everything. You need to know everything, and then you make your decisions. But entrepreneurs, difference, right? They don't think like that. Entrepreneurs are like, oh, yeah, I have my next big idea. Let's run with it. That's me. That's my problem.
And there's, textbook and there's practical, like
100%.
And technically the textbook will tell you,
and
know
you
your
take
numbers.
Risks in business, and you're like, well, we'll see.
And it's all subjective to how you want to spend it too, because I was spending almost the same amount of money doing content anyway. So in my mind, and I was right, because I've been at this,
but now you created
10 months.
Now you created a separate stream of revenue.
And I could get way more content than I did before, because it's right next door, and I just sit here and turn on the camera. And you told me 11:30. I'm like, great, that works. Exactly. I don't have to, go run a studio and work around everybody's schedule and all these logistics. So I knew it was a good idea. That was probably as clear as I've been on an idea my entire life. But yeah, I knew that she was gonna put the P&L and
but can you afford it?
You need to know the true cost. Like, the true cost is what it's gonna cost me to open it. But whatever.
Yeah, so but your time, Joseph. You need to know time is money. That's what she tells us.
Cut this out and don't show her. but you need that too, because to a certain point you need that, kind of both sides, somebody trying to keep you on track.
You need somebody to bring you down.
And level you out. Yeah, trust me. She's I'm not a crier. She's gotten me to drop a tear once or twice.
Really? No, yo no he llorado todavía.
Oh, no.
She tells me, she goes, you cut this out.
Yeah. It's all cut.
She off the record.
We cut it out on the YouTube, but we're gonna send it to her.
Yeah. She tells me, I'm not gonna be happy hasta que tú no llores. I'm like, buena suerte.
She's gonna get you there.
I don't know. I'm tough to cry.
You wanna know what it was over? I'll tell you. It was over the separating your time thing, because, and that, honestly, the money I spend, I can hire accountants. Honestly, just send me the reports so I can see them. But that's fine. The biggest thing that I've gotten in my last 14 months coaching was, she made me realize that I could do both. Because I was like, I'm not spending enough. Like when I would do
no, you could. I
was a opposite belief. You talked to me 14 months ago. I'm like, bro, my son, he knows the sacrifices. That part, yeah, I explained to him, but I wouldn't trade it off, because the trade off would be him not having, or him dealing with the shit that I dealt with growing up. The moving from one country to another because we didn't have whatever. And then one day she was like, you could do both. And I was fighting her on it. And she gets very argumentative that she just needs to prove the point that you're wrong. She's a
lawyer.
Okay. I'm not a lawyer, but I should have been one, because I like to argue. And I was like, no, and you weren't going to convince me. And eventually she got me to a point where she convinced me, and yeah, it broke me.
So what'd you do? You delegated or?
I have more stuff than I can give you some stuff if you want some. So it wasn't a delegation issue. My thing is, being present as a parent, I like being present in my business. I feel that if I'm not here, not that shit doesn't get done because it gets done, but ideas don't flow. I hate Zoom calls. If I need to have a meeting with somebody, I don't want to have a Zoom call. I want to have it in person. Because Zoom call is so structured, and it's the small talk is where the magic happens more so than the going through an agenda of a meeting.
I have a lot of those same issues with her too.
Yeah, so what I started doing was the vacation stuff. I'm like, all right. So I pick a weekend that I disappear with them. My Sundays are non-negotiable under the Dolphins game, and I take them to some of them because we have season tickets. And then I was going on a lot of trips without him. I use all these Amex ones I have, and then everybody goes. And that's kind of how I managed to spend more time. But it was the realization and the awareness that I could do both, rather than this block mentally I had that if I give this up, then he's going to suffer the same shit I suffer, so he'll deal with it, and I'll pay the consequences later. And when she got me to understand that I didn't have to do that, it changed my life. Changed my life and changed me as a father.
Like an aha moment.
But, when I tell you, and we're doing the sales course with some of the leaders. Bro, she had my guys crying last week.
Yeah.
No way.
I mean,
no, it wasn't Alex. He's in it, but it was one of our sales trainers. Why?
Because their profiles and stuff?
Yeah, no, because people have it's cute. I know how I've been working with her for over a year now, so
and I've known her
I hear them talking.
I used to work with her.
Well, I hear them.
And Kathy.
Bueno. I hear them talking, and I'm like, you're not going to win this argument. You might as well just give up now. But I don't say shit. I just stay quiet because she doesn't want me to interfere.
No, so they got to go through their process.
They start arguing with her or being defensive about, and I see them like opening the door for her to come in, and I'm like, you're making a mistake. And sure enough, it started, but why? But why? But you need to tell me the real reason why you want that. Tell me the real. And she wouldn't stop until she got done with me. Till she broke him. As a man. And yeah, we have a video of Buddy in tears because we were recording a Zoom call for somebody that doesn't
That's nice though. Men need that too.
It is. And then everybody else was like, nobody wanted to say a word. You're not gonna make me cry, but yeah, coaching's been very good for me because I came up in a way of throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. I have zero knowledge of half the shit I need to know, and I've been learning it. You know, like I am a salesperson, not even at heart, because it's not like I love sales, but I'm a communicator. So I understood that if I got into sales, I'd make money, and I wasn't going to go to school. So I found something I could sell that paid me a lot. And then I just started running with my ideas at every stage, and got to a point where like I got really big, and I made a shit ton of money.
You can't know everything.
I had no infrastructure. It was a shit show. Yeah. Like when she came in, she said, all right, what do you see your book of business? I'm like, can you add her to the Google Sheets that we see it on? She's you see it on an Excel sheet? I'm like, it's a Google Sheets. We can share it with each other. I was running
You have a CRM now, I assume.
Yes. I was running a multi-million-dollar business on Excel sheets.
That can only get you so far.
And that was like when I took the coaching. You want to know why I got into coaching? But she sold me on it, first of all, without selling me on it, which is hard to do because I peep every time somebody's trying to sell me something.
Yeah.
And she got me. That was part of the reason why I'm like, okay, she's good enough to do that. But the other reason is I got bored because I knew there were things I didn't know. I didn't know who to ask. And everybody around me, I was doing at that stage in my life better than them for the most part. So I'm like, who do I talk to? Like, it became not challenging. And the challenges I had, I wouldn't face them because I didn't know who to go to. So she came into the office one day to collect the rent check. And she started talking to me. Little did I know she was trying to freaking make me a client now. I'm like, well, I'm bored. And I'm struggling with some things that I don't know who to talk to. And I feel like I'm annoying people that I know do really well, trying to get them to mentor me because they have shit to do. So I stopped doing that too. And that's how we ended up having the client.
I think coaching is great. And I think a lot of people have the problem of admitting when they need help because a lot of business owners, especially small business owners, they want to do everything themselves. And they can't. Like, you're good at what you're good at.
100%.
You're not good at everything. Like, or you hate it.
The profile's going to be more spot on.
My profile?
God. When she started telling me, I'm like, yeah, that is me.
I'm yellow-red. I assume that you're the same. I can't tell you what color, but I think I am too. I think you're the same, yeah.
And then my 4 out of my top 5 strengths were in strategic thinking.
Me too. Visionary and like whatever, all that stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
and
me too.
How about your motivators? You know what I'm talking about? That is like aesthetics, financial power.
See.
Do you remember that? I
think it's financial.
So mine wasn't money. Like I care about money, but money's not like I don't like even with the podcast. I didn't care to don't care. I genuinely do not care to make money. Mine was power. I love being in control.
That's like my second or third.
My pet peeve is not being like my issue with partnerships. I don't have a lot of partnerships. I have 2 partners. Mm-hmm. Well, my wife 3, and that's the only one I'm not in control of.
That's the one
All the
that
other ones I have
most.
more control. All the other ones I have more like a thumb around it. But my issue with like I'll collaborate all day long, but I can't do like many partnerships. And if I do a partnership, it needs to be a partnership where like, okay, fine, we have clear-cut roles, but like my part is mostly the financial part because, and sorry, Alex, maybe there's a conflict of interest saying this in front of you, but because it gives me a sense of control to a certain extent. And I don't abuse of control. You can talk to my partners and anything, I'm the total opposite. But just knowing that I have some sort of control really puts me at ease.
I think it's just being in business with the partner that is your counter opposite.
Literally.
Which is kind of like when we did our strategic profile. So Kathy is like a task person. Ella quiere quedar bien con todo el mundo. And like she's very like, doesn't want to leave anybody behind. Driven. She's execution driven. I don't give a shit what I'm leaving behind. Yo no quiero quedar bien con todo el mundo. Like I'm a visionary. Yeah. I'm a result driven person.
But you have the perfect partner.
I will do what I need to do, not because I like it, but because I need.
But you have the perfect partner for that reason.
But I need to do that to get to where I need to be. Yeah. And I'm sociable. So I'm, my yellow, my communicator, whatever.
Yeah, my yellow guy for sure. Yeah,
my yellow, my red are whatever, and the other 2 are like non-existent.
It helped too with communication. Sandra, Pobrecita, I have a good lady that used to work with her. Her name is Sandra. She's a sweetheart. And she would call me, and I would dread her phone calls. Get a media hora of her telling me like, no, and the kid, and this and that. And I was like, just get to the point.
That's
how I am.
We
did the profiles, and they were like, Yep. When you talk to Chelsea, just get to the point. And she was like, "Oh my God, that makes so much sense."
Like, don't give me bullshit details. Like, what is it that you need? If I need more information, I will ask questions. 100%. If not, just give me like the
100%. But I didn't.
The clip notes.
But I wasn't even aware of that. She's the one that brought it up to me, and I'm like, that makes sense. That's why I get so annoyed at people, because a lot of the things that I've gotten from coaching too is awareness on things that I was already doing, but I wasn't aware of. How you come
across or whatever, because that's like a big thing for me.
I will call her, and now I know, like, if we had like our deal, I'll call her, ask her how her weekend was. She'll give me a short answer and get straight to the point. Yeah. And then she doesn't feel like I'm being a dick. And I also don't spend 30 minutes trying to get off the phone.
A lot of people, my employees, they don't want to come to me because they think I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's that I get bogged down with...
Yeah. Your mind's running a million miles an hour. You just want to resolve whatever it's...
I'm gonna give you a solution, but you need to get to the problem quick so that I can give you the solution.
You talk to Leito. I'm name dropping everybody. Tengo una idea. I'm like, okay. And he starts telling me why. Leito, stop. ¿Cuál es la idea? Tell me the idea first.
Tell me the idea, and if I want to know why, yo te pregunto.
And then when he tells me, okay, tell me why now.
Yeah.
But bro, me meto media hora with the pitch, and yeah, we're very similar on that.
I talk to clients, and when I tell them, I go, okay, before we get into anything, tell me what you want and tell me why. So I go in that order, and they tell me, okay, I want to start an LLC. Let's just say that's what they want, right? And I go, why? What is your vision? What do you want to accomplish? And then I'll tell you if that's the right path for you or not.
Right.
And then they'll tell me, oh, I want to do, and then I can easily identify why they're right or why their method is wrong, and just get to the point and tell them, no, this is wrong because of X, or yes, this is right because of Y, and that's it. And we move on, because otherwise people are gonna, and it bogs me down. It drives me crazy.
All right. Well, we're about to wrap up. The last question I want to ask you, and this is your chance to have a video that we can do an ad with in the future. Why should somebody work with your law firm? Why you?
They should work with me because I'm one of them. Because my clients, I have been in their shoes. My clients are small business owners, people that invest in real estate, people that mostly come from the Latino community. I'm one of them. I've been where they are. I understand their needs, and I am able to protect their interests in that way, better than perhaps somebody that has no idea what their background is, where they come from, why they do what they do, and what they're seeking to achieve. Because I've been there, and I know what they need.
Beautifully said. Anika, thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you coming in for real.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
First of all, for
being the first woman on the podcast.
And you did fantastic. Honestly, I gotta think, but you might be my favorite guest, and I'm only saying this. The camera's on, so every other guest is gonna hear it, but it was good. Yeah,
you put that in there.
I had the most common ground to speak with. Like, typically, my interview style conversation, I have to like really dig with questions and get people to answer. And if
I'm a talker, so I think that helps.
Oh, so am I. But and we have a lot of obviously common ground on our thoughts and our way of thinking. So yeah, it was my favorite one so far. So thank you.
You're welcome.